The Terrible Warriors is brought to you by the lovely people over on Patreon. And when we asked them what game they would like to hear us play, why, we put it up for a poll and they chose this very game you're about to listen to. This is the first episode in the Seventh Sea, in a story we would soon call Love and Consequence. In the land of Thea, a place that may seem familiar to you and your history, there is the country of Castille, a land of adventure and flowers and beauty and love. And on a road heading to the outskirts of Montonen, 4 strangers are on a caravan. But adventure knows how to bring people together. And as the enemy strikes, these 4 will have to take action to save the ones they love and fight for what is true. But there is one among these 4 who will rise up among the rest of them. The story that shall be told far and wide. Oh, but I don't want to ruin too much. Yet we haven't even started. Will Mitchell sits down to be the GM on this show for the very first time. And your adventurers in Thea, the swashbuckling romancers, oh, they are your terrible warriors. Oh, hey there, terrible listeners. It's me, Justin Ecock. Not actually running this game, just saying hi at the beginning of it because I was the one who ran the poll on Patreon. This is a game you chose if you're a Patreon supporter. We put this up for a poll and there were 4 choices and this one came ahead of the pack by a lot. We'll introduce the game in a moment, but first, let me introduce to you your terrible players, your warriors for this campaign, starting at my right, your left.
Hi, it's Poisonne. It's me.
I'm Derek. I'm Derek the Bard from Chasing the Muse and the Edmonton crew.
Hey, Derek.
You motherfucker, it's Mike Dodd!
Oh, it's
Birdman.
And running this game that we will announce as soon as we introduce our GM.
Would be Will Mitchell, coming to you live from Edmonton.
Hey, Will! This is great, because this is also the first time you have been running a game on our show.
Yeah, there's a lot of firsts. This is my first time running this system, first time running on this show. It's going to be exciting.
This is coming right off the heels of Tiff's campaign with Game of Thrones, and at the same time that this game is coming out will also be Bree's game on Star Wars. So this is real fun for the show, because we're getting a whole lot of new people in the big chair running the games for us, which I must say Derek, Dodd, and I are grateful.
Damn right.
So before we get into anything else, Will, introduce to us the game that was chosen in our poll that I've heard you go in about it, and I know you're passionate about the setting, so introduce us. What game are we playing today?
Today, we are going to be playing 7th Sea, 2nd edition. 7th Sea is a game of swashbuckling adventure. You can play as sort of heroic Robin Hood-esque pirates. You can be amazing courtiers. The setting of the game is effectively 17th century Earth with the serial numbers filed off. System designer Mike Curry has been known to describe it as Earth's greatest hits. Basically, the world is essentially focused on Europe in the 17th century, but the Catholic Church has always been kind of pro-science and sexually egalitarian, but they hate sorcery, because yes, folks, this is also a world where magic is very much real. So let's go around and let's talk about the characters we got going here a little bit. Let's start with you, Dodd.
Okay, I will be playing Jose Wick. I am a Castilian mercenary who's also a member of the Brotherhood of the Coast. Basically, there's no job too big, no job too small, and I'm John Wick. I have an incredible amount of pistols, and I do very, very flashy things in combat. So expect me to be your gun fu, knife fu expert today.
Gonna be very cool. For our listeners, Castille is essentially this world's version of Spain, and the Brotherhood of the Coast are, again, those roguish Robin Hood-esque pirates I mentioned earlier. Let's move on to Derek. Who are you playing tonight?
I will be playing Lady Anna Henrietta de Pai. She is the youngest daughter of the Duke of Pai, Paix, which is a town in northern Montagne, which is basically like France.
A pie by any other name is still just as delicious.
And Anna was sent to the court of the Emperor of Montagne, and is essentially, she's a very well educated, very very social woman who also happens to be have a not inconsiderable level of talent with the Montagnian sorcery, which is called Porte, which allows her to rip gaping chest wounds in reality and then teleport through them.
Indeed,
As
both
you
herself
do.
and objects.
As you do.
And technically others, so long as they close their eyes. No, seriously, guys, don't open your eyes.
Don't listen to
not
the whispers
open your
between
eyes.
worlds.
Just listen to the whispers that are trying to tempt you off the path. Stay to the path. Keep your eyes closed.
How very
and keep
Full Metal Alchemist
walking.
of you.
Lady Anna is also acts as something of a spy for the Montagnian crown at times, as she is, not the rough and tumble musketeers that normally work for the crown.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
I think you've painted a lovely picture. Next, Bree, tell us about
Or
your
baked
character.
a lovely pie.
Oh. So I'm going to play Dirk Crescenza Weibe. He's an Ison. We had a hell of a time. I was trying to type out that last name in the chat so that everyone could spell it, and I can't even do some of the letters in the name.
And before Ison is important to define specifically with this character
Indeed.
too. Ison is our Germany of this world, but a monster wasteland. Destroyed
everyone-
after a holy war.
Everyone from
Yes, this world's
Ison.
version of the Protestant Reformation went down, and Eisen is now just totally boned.
It's just like
It's easy. If you've ever played or read the books about The Witcher, it's functionally
Yeah.
the Northern Realms after the war with Nilfgaard went down.
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say, like,
there's
everyone,
no standing government and there's monsters
everyone
everywhere.
from Ison by reputation is a Witcher. And when I sold this character to the campaign, I was like, okay, so I basically want to play like this charming Ison, like Gallivant kind of, but bad at everything. Like just the
Bree is playing
worst.
Dandelion.
Just
Yes.
the worst at being an Ison. Like, I wouldn't know what to do with a demon if it was trying to eat his face.
And if you've been following on our Instagram or on Bree's Twitter, you'll see what her advantages are on this character, which are just brilliant. So crazy.
yeah.
So basically,
Pretty great.
Dirk was sent off as a child. His family was just like, oh God, you're going to die here. Was sent off to be raised by a Vodacci family, which is why his middle name is Vodacci.
Very nice. Vodacci is this world's version of Italy, and it's got its own weirdnesses going on.
So one of
Up
the
now, let's
Ison-
round out the party. Justin, what are you playing?
I'm also playing a Castilian like Mike, but I keep my feet firmly on the ground. Thank you very much, on terra firma. I am playing a younger man, Francisco Florento, and Francisco is growing up listening to the stories of Los Vagabundos, the Zorros of this world, of the explorers' society and all of the treasures and the hunting and romance that they all get up to, and he's really romanticized the adventure without any of the consequences that go with it, and is
we're going to be such good friends.
is a younger man who mostly spends his time in court learning the art of fencing, and as also has romanticized the idea of the duelist guild. Not a member of any of those groups, but desperately dreams of one day being brought into their ranks and impressing the right person at the right time, and always on guard for that moment of opportunity when it strikes, and keeping him out. In a way, there's a bit of Hamilton in here, not throwing away his shot, but like Hamilton's son in the musical, that little part later near the second half of the show. So that's kind of how I'm playing, like young Zorro before he became
Beautiful.
Zorro.
Fanboy extraordinaire and
Yeah.
aspirant. I love
What
it.
do you say your last name was, Justin?
Florento, which isn't a Castilian name. It's more of a Vodaccian name, but I took it as a particularly pious family. Pious family?
Yeah,
pious.
The Vatican Church started in Vodacci, so I would imagine a very old pious family, even in Castile, would take on a more traditional Vatican name. So his name sounds a little bit more Italian than Spanish.
Yeah, and absolutely
what's-
possible.
What's
And,
your last name? Sorry, I'm just writing everything down.
Florento.
Florento?
Francisco Florento. So maybe he gets around like on the training dummies. He's working on his F instead of his Z.
And Bree, what did you say your last name, your overly complicated last name was?
It's Vibe, so Weib, but it's the capital B that you only get in German that my keyboard won't do.
Can we have all these names put into the
you're
chat?
sure it's not an SZ?
I think your last name is actually Weiss.
Oh,
Vice.
is it Vice?
Excellent.
Yeah,
Your
that
dirt-
weird German B is actually two S's.
Well,
rammed
let's
together.
let's just pretend I know German instead
Yes.
of Japanese. Jesus.
Let's retcon that.
But Veeb is a perfectly good name too.
Yeah, let's just retcon all that.
Do you want to be
Let's-
Vibe or Vice?
Let's make it Vice, and then let's leave this in so that everyone can.
Because
laugh at me.
you've already drawn it into the paper, and as we all
Vice.
know, once it's in pencil, it can't be taken away.
It's okay. I wrote myself a pronunciation key.
The mark of pencil is indelible.
Indeed. Okay, so our game is going to open up in Castille. You are on a lovely sort of coastal road. You are in the westernmost part of the country, and the countryside here is just gorgeous. Lots of rolling hills with the occasional sort of big sort of pseudo mountains with cliffs on them. It's really gorgeous country. Lots of very lush orchards and farmland. It's quite lovely. You're fairly close to the sea, and you find yourselves as part of a small convoy or caravan of carriages and merchants' wagons making their way from a small city by the name of La Reina del Mar, heading north towards the village of Montonen. It's a small seaside village. It's got a small harbor, and ships will occasionally stop there. But it's not a major place like La Reina or like San Juan further to the north. What's brought you here? Why are you guys on this particular road? Where are you headed?
I'm looking for the next job.
You're looking for your next job. That's a good reason to travel.
I would assume that Lady Anna is probably riding in a carriage.
Absolutely.
It is likely her own personal carriage, because she is quite wealthy.
Indeed.
And she is likely here. Probably her cover is some sort of trade, or she's just spending some time by the sea and, getting out of Montaigne for a bit.
You're taking a constitutional of sorts?
She is taking a constitutional. Unofficially, however, to the public gaze, she is likely here either on royal orders or on some mission for the secret society that she is part of called Sophia's Daughters.
Ah, rad. Making contacts to help smuggle oppressed women out of Vodace?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. All right. How about yourselves? Bree, Justin, why are you traveling today?
That's an interesting question. Maybe Francisco is, he's a friend at court. He's a friend of any party. But I'm imagining, in the same way that he romanticizes, there must be rumors of a new archaeological discovery or something that's being shown off at like a gala. And he wants to get his eyes on it and meet the person and rub elbows and impress the right person at court.
Indeed there is, in fact.
Excellent, called it.
Yeah, you've heard that there's been some digs in the area that have found some very interesting artifacts of peculiar design.
And as I was reading it too, archaeology in this world is run by the rich who hire archaeologists to find things that they can put in their gallery and make their estates all the more interesting. Anyways, that's...
Indeed, this is very much the loot the world phase of archaeology.
Dirk is out seeing the world. Everyone needs an Ison, right? Everyone wants to hire an Ison, and I am
you guys
that.
are badass. So you're just looking for work, much like
seeing
Jose?
seeing the world, taking work if it comes to me, but just out and about, seeing the world, seeing all the bars, all of them.
Now, Dirk, just out of curiosity, are we going with the plan we talked about during character creation?
Sure.
Where I'm your Flash and you take all of the credit?
Oh, God, yeah. I need one of those.
So, I am Dirk's, basically, hands, eyes, and I make everything dead, and he takes all the credit for it.
I love it. Okay. So we've got all that sorted. That's why you're on this small caravan. An important question for the beginning of this. Who's got the coolest hat?
I do.
I'm rich.
That doesn't necessarily mean you have an ostentatious hat. You're also a spy.
Yes,
don't wanna stick
exactly.
out.
So people look at the hat.
Ah, it's more of a fascinator?
Well, yeah, I have actual, like, other clothes for pretending to be other people hidden in my trunk.
Nice.
But right now I have my cover identity. I have, the cover.
Okay. So you've been riding along.
Actually, wait, no. You know who has the coolest hat? Dirk does.
No, I am a fascinator.
makes
I
sense.
don't need one.
I was thinking Francesco's got a pretty cool hat. He's on his horse. Wouldn't be in a carriage with the rest of them. And he's out there. He's got to keep the sun out of his eyes and protect him from the rain. But he's also a fencer and a courtier. And maybe he doesn't have a lot of wealth, but he definitely put that wealth into his hat.
Dirk has white
Oh.
hair, and he's super into his white hair, so... I'm basically
love
have
it.
made, like, a beautiful animu boy Geralt.
It's got a little black feather coming out of the back of mine. A little forward like a sombrero.
Okay, great. So, you've been riding along in this little caravan, and there's some other passengers along with you. There's a couple of sort of like young people you take are probably family, a young man and a young woman. There's an older person with them who you think is a servant of theirs. There's a handful of merchants and their various sort of like roustabouts and teamsters and things. And as you're passing through a lovely little sort of olive orchard on the top of sort of a fairly tall hill that descends into cliffs on the far side of it, Florenzo, you're outside. Or sorry, Francisco, you're outside. So you see that some masked men drop from the canopy of the olive orchard and come out from bushes on either side of the road. One of whom sees you see him, levels a musket at you, and BAM! Blows a lovely hole through your fancy new hat. They reach into one of the carriages and pull, screaming and kicking out of it, some of the people that you have just been traveling with.
All my wealth went into
My
that hat.
question is, what are you going to do about this roughly dozen, maybe 15 men who are riding up all around you and obviously kidnapping these three people?
Well, I can't throw away my shot. I just said that, didn't I? Oh, no. I've backed myself into a narrative responsibility.
So, what I'm doing now is I'm asking for your approach. We're about to go into an action scene, I presume, unless you guys really just want to watch these guys get dragged off.
I mean, I do have that
in
wily
7th
virtue that
second
allows me to
edition-
rescue myself and leave everyone behind. But go on. And I leave.
In 7th C 2nd edition, when you're rolling your dice, you're not so much accomplishing a single task as you're basically choreographing what your character is going to be doing for the following scene. So, I punch a guy isn't really the approach we go for, but perhaps I'm going to, beat these guys bloody and make them sorry that they ever crossed us. That's a more appropriate approach. So, my friends, what's your approach as this dastardly deed is going down?
Just as a question, since they're not being taken from my carriage, since I've established it's a private carriage.
Indeed, you did.
Does it look like they know who they're taking?
You're right. They absolutely have targets. These three people were a priority, but you can also see that they're kind of eyeing everything else. Both with disgust and a certain perverse joy. You suspect that they also want to take some of the other things here, but those three folks were the main thing they're after. The disgust is a mystery.
Do I need to spend a hero point to mark something? I don't think I need to spend a hero point. Oh, no, I need to spend a hero point to mark something.
In action,
No.
you do... Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your approach there, Derek? What are you going to do?
Lady
How are you
Anna-
going to counter this?
I am going to, seemingly not knowing what I'm doing, open the door of my carriage and swing it into the side of one of the men, as if I am some rich Montanian woman who's just like poking her head and shouting at my coachman like, Pierre, why have we stopped?
Oh, beautiful. So it sounds to me like you're using you're trying to convince people of what you're doing being totally innocent. So
But
I'm going to
also
call
smack
that...
someone in the head and give
And
people
also
a chance
smack
to-
someone. So I'm going to say that's a combination panache brawl. So please assemble
I
your
have
dice
no,
for that.
I have no brawl. Could we call it panache weaponry since I'm using a door?
Well, a door's not really a weapon. It's kind of an improvised weapon. But you are going to get you're going to get a bonus dice because it's the first time that you've used this skill. And
Okay.
you're also going to get a bonus dice for that awesome description.
Cool.
This is called Flair, and it's a pretty major part of the system.
Cool, that's 6 dice.
Yep, so you get those ready. Don't roll them yet.
Yeah, I love the idea of flair.
All
It
right,
keeps the game from being stale.
Birdman, Dodd, what's your approach to this?
All right, I'm
Roughly
gonna
a dozen
lean.
men have surrounded you and are taking people away.
I'm gonna lean over to Dirk. Like, don't worry, boss. I'll make sure it's memorable. I'm going to kick open the side of the carriage, roll out, and draw as many pistols and drop as many people with knee shots as possible.
All right, so you're going to open fire and sort of start emptying out your various braces of pistols.
And as soon as I'm out of pistols, I'm going the knives.
Nice. Well, that sounds to me definitely like you are doing a finesse aim risk, because that sweet barrel roll you did out definitely requires some dexterity.
Okay.
So get that ready, and of course 2 dice for the excellent description and for the first time you've done it.
So
How about
finesse
Bree?
fire.
What are you going to do in response to this ensuing chaos about to explode?
I mean, I'm really tempted to just pull like a fucking taco from Adventure Zone and be like, I'm good out here, bye guys. But instead, I'm going to kind of like follow him out the door of the caravan, but stand there in the doorway where I am partially protected from things, and also everyone can see me, and do
They have an
hopefully-
icing.
hopefully use my sort of disarming smile of just being like, gentlemen, really, is this all necessary?
Okay, so you're appealing to their better nature?
I hope so.
Now, you've mentioned you wanted to use your disarming smile. That's one of your advantages, correct?
It is.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Oh, it is. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay. That advantage, I do believe, requires the use of a hero point.
Does it?
Does it not?
Disarming smile. I have actually.
We will
written
have
down
to look it up.
149.
Yeah, sorry.
It's right
We'll
here.
look it up here.
Yeah,
Sec.
spend a hero point to keep another character from drawing a weapon, starting a fight, or resorting to violence. They will still defend themselves, but will not start any violent conflicts.
Just the one, huh?
well,
we've got a lot of them.
We've
so-
already. The fight's already
Yeah,
started.
we've already started a fight, so we won't use that one in particular, but I will use just so much panache.
Okay, so you're still trying to convince them that this is like a shitty thing to do. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a convince panache roll.
Cool. I can do that.
And of course, you get the 2 dice for excellent description
Yeah.
and first time. Okay, now Justin, what are you up to? How are you going to approach this?
My hat! I just said I put all of my wealth into my hat.
And I shot it off your fucking head.
Oh, so what I want to do then is I have like a fencing sword and other things, but I want to grab like a pole or like a flagpole off of one of the carriages, and I want to kick up all this dirt while I'm on my horse, and I want to just be really causing a distraction to kick up dirt into the air to hide my approach, and then when everything's all covered up in dust and smoke from pulling this pole through the soils, when I'm going to dismount off my horse and draw my sword, and then in the blinding smoke dust try to rescue these 3 victims of crime.
Okay, that definitely to me sounds like a hide and finesse, because you gotta get that dust up just right, but it doesn't take being tough for that. So yeah, hide and finesse for that.
Because
All right.
because of what he's doing, can I fail this? Because
You wish to choose to fail.
I duck out of the carriage and like open my mouth. It's dust.
I love it. So what Bree's doing, this is another mechanic that's kind of
I come
central
by
to the
and
game.
kick up the soil in
Failure
your face.
is something that you can choose to have happen to you in this game, but you get to narrate the results. You suffer all the consequences of the scene, but you get to decide what ultimately happens to you.
Amazing.
And in response to that, you get a hero point. Now, I'm just going to say, just hold off until I name the consequences.
Okay.
So you guys know how you're approaching this scene. Here's sort of what you are directly facing. In this scene, we've got 3 brute squads. These are obviously mooks. These are these bandits. These guys kind of look kind of scummy. If they weren't dressed the way they were, you'd almost think that they were maybe like some sort of sailors or pirates. They're not terribly comfortable on their horses, but they are very enthusiastic about kidnapping people and wrecking a caravan. So there's 3 sort of separate groups of them. As well, there's one much more fancy, much more together-looking fellow on a horse. He's laughing a little bit and is obviously having a good time. He seems a little bit apart from the others. Now, as this is going on, there's been some musket shots, things are getting crazy, people are screaming. Here are the consequences you could be looking at. You could certainly fall off the wagon or carriage. It's a bit of a drop. That's something that each of you is going to want to consider countering. There are panicking horses. All this is going to make these dumb animals very scared, and they could just run on off. It's also possible you won't be able to necessarily stop the caravan, and it could go off the road and crash into something. There's also some opportunities available to you. This is happening in some sort of orchard. You think it's olives, you didn't really pay a whole lot of attention. There are low-hanging branches, like the bandits use to take advantage of you guys. And as well, you've got a whole bunch of merchant wagons with you that maybe have some useful cargo if you want to take advantage of that. So those are all things you can spend your raises on. Now we're going to generate those raises by rolling them dice. So roll them up, everybody. Roll the dice pools you've assembled. Nice.
So,
then,
I add
when
the
you
dots
roll,
in the trait and the skill plus the bonus die you gave us?
that's right.
Okay.
Add the trait, add the skill, and then any relevant bonus dice. And then when you roll your dice, you're going to group them together into 10s. Each 10 you can make is called a raise, and that's what you're going to be spending on all this cool stuff.
So I have 4 raises, technically.
You got 4 raises, exactly. How you looking,
I know
Derek?
what I want to do.
Oh, I rolled so many 9s. I only have 3 raises. And an odd 9 out that I just can't use.
No worries. I'm not tempted to buy that back from you just yet, so thank you for pointing that out. How about Bree and Justin?
I rolled a 9 and 2 sets of 10, because the set of 10 can go over 10.
Yes.
It just doesn't count.
Yes, sets of 10 can be over 10, but it's got to be at least a 10.
Yeah, so it ends up being something like a 13, which is fine. So I have 2 sets of 10, and then I have 1 9 off to the side.
Okay, so you've got 2 raises then. How about you, Bree?
No, I 100% want to fail this.
You still want to fail it?
I want to fail it. I just want to fall on my face. It's going to be beautiful.
Okay, so you are going to fall on your face.
Woo!
God, you are dandelion.
You'll be taking some wounds and things from the brutes as they engage you guys. But yeah, so let's go through.
Oh, don't worry.
Top of the order. The way this works in terms of initiative is we go in the order of who has the most raises. And if we check this out,
It's Dodd.
it's going to be Dodd. So Dodd, you're going to go first. Chaos is
Okay.
erupting around you. There's armed men and shrieking people and whinnying horses. What do you do?
Okay, I'd like to use, is there any cargo that's explosive?
There certainly could be.
Okay. I want to shoot some of the explosive cargo to knock some of the mooks off their feet, shoot some of the low-hanging branches to take multiple out at a time, and then just use the dust cloud that was kicked up by our fencer and basically use the chaos around me to utterly demolish these people, John Wick style.
Sounds pretty rad. So, which of those do you want to do first?
I want to shoot the explosive barrel to knock people off their feet.
That's a great idea. So what you're doing there is you're activating an opportunity. You're taking the useful cargo thing. So you're going to spend a raise and then cause a little explosion. So yeah, you shoot. Bam! And yeah, there was like a little powder keg that was kind of just like strapped to the outside of one of the wagons. It goes off in typical Hollywood fashion, and 2 of the guys on horseback who are riding up to you, their horses panic and they get thrown onto their asses. They're dealing with that for a while. Good stuff. Now we drop down to raise 3, where there are 3 raises. And my villain has 3 raises, and villains, being assholes, go first. And so this guy does have a musket.
Is this the part where the
or not a
show
musket,
might
it's a
freeze
pistol.
frame and we get a name up on the screen?
There will definitely be a freeze frame. And in fact, his name is Diego Ortega. And Diego Ortega, astride his sort of whinnying black stallion, levels his pistol towards our good friend Jose Wick and returns fire in kind. What happens when you get shot? Well, you're going to take a single regular wound, at least, from the number of raises that are spent. He spent 1, so you're going to take a single wound from that. But firearms also cause a dramatic wound. In this game, you basically have essentially 20 hits you can take. Every 4 hits is normal, and then the 5th one is a dramatic wound. The dramatic wounds change the rules for you, and once you get 4 of them, you're eating dust. You are helpless. You're not necessarily dead, but you're taken out of the scene. So Dodd, bam, he shoots you. 1 regular wound and a dramatic wound.
Okay.
He drops down to 2.
All right. Can I counter with my raises or anything?
You can. You won't be able to drop the dramatic wound, because even heroes
Okay.
can't dodge bullets, but you could get rid of that single wound. You could move so that the shot's going to take you in a less vital area, something like that.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, so you spend a raise, get rid of that 1 wound. It's a 1-for-1 transfer. Yeah, so you shoot, you see him aiming, right? And you sort of, like, just dodge out of the way so that instead of right in the solar plexus, instead he sort of, like, grazes your hip. It sucks, but you'll survive. Great, now we are at 3 raises. Still, who else has 3?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Anna Henrietta, go at it.
So my goal then with opening the door into this guy, just discussing like action sequences, is it possible for me to knock him out with the door?
It absolutely is. I assume you're going after one of the sort of faceless goons, right?
Well, yeah, one of the guys ushering people away. What I'd like to try and do is use it and the distraction of the exploding barrel, since no one's looking, to essentially play like a shell game of ushering them into my coach.
Ah, okay. Now, your approach for this scene kind of sets sort of some limitations on your actions.
Obviously.
You were trying to brawl, and this isn't necessarily a fighty way of doing things. It could be if you can think of a way. Otherwise, you're going to have to end up paying more raises to do this.
I hit him right in the face with a carriage door.
Nice. So you smack him in the face with the door and then just take his place, basically?
Yeah, where she opens the door, it's like, Pierre, what is going on? Knocks him out while the explosions are going on. Then just looks at the people, it's like, in. Allez.
Beautiful. So yeah, that effectively takes one of the brute squads down to strength 4. And so the brutes
That cost me 1 raise.
That cost you 1 raise. Excellent. Anybody else on 3?
No, I have a 2.
All right, we're now down to 2. Our villain is also at 2. And I think he is going to...
What was the villain's name?
He's gonna... What's that?
Our villain's name again. That when we got the
Our villain's
Ortega.
name, Diego Ortega.
I'm writing that down.
Diego's gonna leap from the back of his saddle up onto one of the wagons, and he's gonna begin threatening the sort of like driver to basically sort of pull over the things and stop this wagon. And in the process of doing so, stabs the guy in the shoulder because he's an asshole and takes control of one of the merchant wagons. Okay, that was the villain at 2. Who else is at 2?
I'm at 2.
Can we take multiple actions in a round, or does it go in a cycle?
It kind of goes in a cycle. So, like, if you're at 3 and then you drop to 2, you can then take an action at 2.
So I can go again.
Yes, you may go again as soon as it gets down to the number of raises you have. And in terms of, like, who goes when, if heroes are tied, you can choose amongst yourselves.
Okay.
That's the thing. You're not doing one action, you're doing a whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to attempt to engage his attention using my my virtue of friendly, where I can spend a hero point on first meeting someone, even a villain, and he treats me as friendly for the scene.
Ooh, I like it.
And
Okay.
I'm a good... Anna is a good-looking woman.
Yep.
And, just essentially waving her handkerchief at him. It's like, Monsieur.
All right, you get his attention, and he looks rather pleased there's somebody of consequence on this caravan. And yeah, he looks like he's got intentions to come your way.
So he's distracted.
I am with flanking bonus.
Not that there is such a thing, but yes.
I know what Francisco wants to do.
I don't even have to spend a hero point for... Oh, no, cost you a hero point. Cool.
Yeah. All right, so who else is it to? Birdman, I think?
Francisco.
Yep,
I haven't.
Oh wait, Bree hasn't gone, nor has Justin. Let's hit them first.
Yes,
So
go.
I have one question though to ask Will.
Yes,
Diego, is he wearing a hat?
Diego has a fine, wide-brimmed hat with a lovely red and white
Oh,
plume
how
in it.
wonderful! So I'm a fencer, and I want to, after kicking up this dust, but before I dismount, I want to leap off the horse onto the merchant caravan's roof. And while he's distracted by the lovely Henrietta, reach out my fencing, my rapier, and lift his hat off of his head and put it on my head. And I go, I believe you owed me a hat, sir.
I love it.
How many raises do I have to spend for that?
You have acquired a fine hat, and you've pissed off Diego. How about you, Bree?
Well, I mean, so in the fail, I fell off the wagon, correct?
Yeah, you've fallen off the wagon. You're
wagon.
Eating dust.
Yeah, I've eaten dirt.
Tell us what's going to be going on with you as you accomplish nothing.
Covered in dust, really upset about it because
Someone trips over you, right?
my hair looked amazing this morning. Very nearly got run over by a horse. It was very close. Yeah, someone has gotten off of their horse and tripped on me. I have rolled under the carriage that has now stopped so that no one will actually fall on me, and now I'm very sullenly finger combing out my hair. And
Awesome.
I am gonna wait there for a little while until things
killed me,
roll
Dirk.
over, and then I'm going to come out and try and convince everyone that I did an amazing job.
Okay, so that's your sort of plan of attack as
Yep.
you cower.
Oh yeah, I'm good
Anybody
at that.
else on 2?
Yes. Okay, so surprise, dirtbag! I'm pulling out a blunderbuss and nailing him right in the junk.
Wait, what? Where were you hiding a blunderbuss?
You don't want to know.
I can put
Maybe
one
he wasn't
across
hiding
my
it.
back.
All
I
right,
play
so
enough video games.
you're shooting Diego, I take it?
Oh yeah, right in the balls.
Okay, you're going to shoot him square in the junk is where you're aiming for.
Yep.
Now, you can spend more than one raise to do more wounds.
Yes.
So you could do 2 wounds and a dramatic wound because you're using a gun, if you'd like.
Let's do that. Let's waste them.
All right, so
do I have to roll this?
nope, there's no rolling involved. You already did. You just spend the raises and shit happens.
Okay. I'm
All
out
right,
of raises
so-
now.
You are now out of raises, so that'll be you for this particular sequence in this scene. So yeah, you level your sweet blunderbuss, and you take aim at Diego, and he's sort of angry at Francisco up on the roof of the carriage. And as you shoot, you basically your shot peppers right between his legs into the wagon. Wood explodes everywhere, and he screams, and he is very mad. His great day has turned around pretty much immediately. He's not out of the fight, but he's certainly pissed off.
I have a question about. I have an
All right.
advantage.
Anybody else on 2?
I had a question about using
I think
fencing.
we're down to the ones.
Yeah.
On 1.
All right.
Can you hear
Diego's
me?
got 1 raise left himself.
Hey, Franz, can you
he's
hear
gonna
me?
use that. What's that?
Oh, you can hear me. Hey, here we go. I did have a question there on the number 2. When I make a weaponry risk using my rapier, I gain 1 bonus die as an advantage with fencing. Does that
Yes.
count?
As Fencer, you should have had an extra die.
So
Feel
do
free to roll her
so
now.
just
We're
roll
still
it now,
learning.
roll it in.
Maybe it'll help.
That would make that 9 set. If I swapped out the 1 with the 3 I just rolled, it brings it up to a raise.
Okay, so you'd have an extra raise, so we'll treat this as being on 2. Have at, Francisco.
I mean, I don't want to stop the game. We can worry about that going
No,
forward.
no.
That's-
Not at all. It's easy to go back 1 step. We're still learning this.
Oh.
I literally called this the Learn As We Go Carriage Chase Action
So
scene.
I take I take Diego's
It's
hat.
like
He
Yep.
gets blown through the junk by a blunderbuss, and then while he's screaming out in pain and I guess instinctively also reaching down to his junk, I just bring up my foot and push off the carriage.
Nice. All right, so you're going to just boot him off the carriage. I love it. Down he goes, sort of in a tangle amidst, the reins and all the things that the horses are attached, all the tack the horses are attached to the wagon with. And he's being dragged along and loses a boot, and things are not going good for Diego Ortega.
I do a flourish with my sword and holster it.
Beautiful. He's a villain, and he goes first. He's still got that 1 raise. He's going to use his raise. As he's falling, he's going to grab you by the ankle and bring you with him.
Aye.
And so now you guys are both tangled up in the mess that is horses' asses and dust.
I have another advantage. I have slip free.
You got slip free?
I can use a hero point to slip free.
Great, use a hero point to slip free.
I'm going to immediately slip free and take the reins of the carriage.
Awesome, so you've got the reins of the carriage. He
now
managed
I'm in
to pull
control.
you, like, from the top to the bench. You're now comfortably seated where he previously was. And he is still avoiding getting kicked in the teeth by these horses. Awesome.
It was all thanks to Dirk. We have to just...
Yeah, I mean, really.
He's the true hero of this fight.
Yes.
The true hero of the battle. On that note, other folks on one. I believe Anna Henrietta still has one.
Anna Henrietta still has one. There's this big cloud of dust. Still, everyone's looking at the carriage. Anna Henrietta turns around and very precisely flicks her parasol around, and just rams it with its big, heavy hook top into the face of into the side of the head of another goon who's busy watching the fight, and knocks him out too, and no one's looking.
Beautiful. That's definitely the brawly sort of stuff we're talking about. So now one of those goon squads is down to 3. You still have 2 who are at 10 or at 5, I should say. Awesome. So who else is on 1?
I guess is that all of us?
Is Dirk on 1?
Dirk doesn't have anything. Dirk failed.
I believe Dirk still... no, Dirk failed, so Dirk's got none. But I believe Justin still has 1.
So, I guess taking control of the carriage... I want to do something different so I can get those bonus die that we talked about, because we want to do some flair, right? I'm not sure what to do here, folks. I've got control. I got my hat back. I got control of the carriage.
There are consequences that haven't really been dealt with yet.
Okay, please. Let me know.
There's always the risk of falling off the wagon or carriage. It's kind of moot because a lot of you guys kind of jumped off on your own. The horses could panic, though, and that's kind of in process. We could also have a crash. Something could bang into something else. Those are the 3 sort of sets of things to deal with here.
Now, are there? We got the other brute groups. We got Diego underneath the carriage right now.
Dirk
and
Diego, kind of.
Diego.
Yeah. We're all under carriages.
Dirk, you're under a different. You'll be under.
I'm under my carriage.
Yeah, this carriage is in motion.
Yeah, this is a merchant carriage.
Yeah, mine stopped.
and so this carriage, and then the other brutes, I kind of want to just be reckless and move the carriage into any other brutes that are also on horseback and just run them down. And
do it.
And start just swinging this carriage recklessly. Also trying to shake Diego off, who's underneath.
All right,
play
so
it like like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Justin.
A little bit, yeah. Actually, a little bit.
And so you were doing a weaponry risk, correct? That's what you rolled for this?
Sounds. It was. You had put it as hide when I originally did it.
Oh, it was hide. That's right, because you were doing the sweet stuff with all the dust, and you've been hiding behind people and all that. So
I'm not hiding.
If there's
now,
a way you can use
the
the cover you created with that dust cloud to incorporate this, it'll work off smoothly.
Well, I mean, the dust has created chaos. No one can see in front of their face.
Nobody can see a damn thing
because we're just surrounded by a big dust cloud. That as the carriage is now going to come out of the dust cloud, I just don't want anyone following it because we've run them all down. And so,
all right. So you come through a cloud of dust and manage to go over. You basically just bowl right over one of the people who had one of the kidnapping victims over his shoulder. He sort of sees that coming and just drops him and tries to run, and you plow him over with the horses. He's in the dirt. He's a mess. And the person who sort of got dropped down had seen earlier Anna Henrietta beckoning that her carriage was safety and begins scrambling hand over fist towards Anna Henrietta. Beautiful. Now we are all out of raises, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Nobody stopped the horses from panicking. So all the wagons just they're just sailing away down this horrible, ill-maintained mountain road.
Oh no, there's a cliff
the horses
at the end
begin
of this
to
road.
go at a full whinnying gallop. They're frothing at the mouth.
Well, at least I'm behind the
They're
reins.
starting to take off. Anybody still on the carriages not well seated? I think everybody got off, basically.
Well,
Everybody's
I am well seated in control of the carriage that Diego tried to hijack.
You got the reins. Control might be a strong word.
Okay, well, I'm sitting on the chair with the reins, and I believe to be in control because I'm delusional.
I love it. So yeah, the wagons start to take off. And the brutes who had kind of been ignoring you guys, Diego had taken the initiative to be like, I want to deal with these guys. The brutes have just been eyeing up all the loot. They turn their attention to you guys. Now,
Who's now
the way
wearing
brute
Diego's
squads
hat.
work is at the end of the turn, any brutes that are still in the scene deal their damage to people. But these brutes hadn't been coming here to mess with you guys. They came here to kidnap folks. So now they're pretty keen on you. So at the end of our next scene, if there's any brutes left, you're going to have, at the moment, 13 different wounds coming and distributed amongst you guys.
That's fine.
Ow.
Everything's fine.
Brutes can be a problem. So now we're going to move on to a new round.
Yay.
That's the scene. The carriages are rushing off. They still have 2 out of the 3 people they were kidnapping. One of them has just scrambled into a carriage, which is now going careening down this mountain road. Chaos is ensuing. What would you like to do now? Let's get some approaches. We'll go from the top of my little list here. Birdman Dodd. What is Jose Wick going to do?
Jose Wick is going to take care of the rest of the mooks with a wild array of pistol and knife shots.
Okay, so you've used aim already. And you say you're trying to shoot as many people as you can, so I think it's still finesse. Give me an aim finesse. And yeah, I think you're describing things pretty alright, so you'll get 1 bonus dice for description.
Okay, then.
Great. Now, hold on again. Try not to roll until I give you the consequences. That'll have an impact on things.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, what is Anna Henrietta going to do?
Well, let's see here. There are goons, but there's a lot of dust. Is it possible for her to hook her parasol into her carriage as it's going past to try to essentially get into the driver's seat? Because I have rather a lot of ride. And actually try to use it to take control of the wagon train and keep everyone from dying?
I think hooking your parasol into a rapidly flying away carriage and then taking control of the reins, that takes nerves of steel. So I'm going to say that's a resolve ride. You can absolutely do that.
Damn. I was hoping for panache again. Okay. And do I get a die for using ride for the first time this scene?
You do, and you're going to get 1 for the flare.
Kick ass.
Okay, so let's go to Bree. Bree,
So
you are beneath a carriage that is
the carriage.
speed rapidly.
I figure the carriage is probably gone by now, and I'm picking myself
could be.
up, having hidden, just collapsed in a heap underneath it, and it rolls on, and now I'm standing up and straightening up. And I wanted to check that Diego Ortega is on the ground and wounded, right?
Or is Diego...
He is wounded, but he is tangled in the various tack and saddlery that is connecting the horses to the merchant wagon that Francisco
basically
saw.
dealt with already, is what I want to know.
Diego Ortega is in no way dealt with. He's just extremely inconvenient.
Okay, so I would like to use my hero point that I'm starting with to fascinate him. Which it says, spend a hero point to capture the attention of another character. That character pays attention only to you until the end of the scene or until you cease speaking or paying attention to them, whichever comes first. So,
amazing.
I would like to just walk out of the dust, just disheveled and covered in dust and looking like I was just in one hell of a fight. And
oh yeah, you look like...
And just walk,
you look like hell, but it's good.
Walk
it's cool.
straight over to him, sword out, and just put the tip of my sword to his throat and be like, "Why don't we just relax?"
Well, this
for a
carriage
minute?
is currently in motion.
This carriage is currently in motion.
Well, I'm I wasn't on the carriage.
You could hop on a horse and do the
off.
same thing, though.
Oh, is he on the carriage?
He's on the merchant carriage, tangled up in the tack.
I thought he fell off the carriage.
Yeah, he fell off the front of the carriage into the tangling that connect the horses, and he's in the roping that the horses are connected to the carriage in.
Yeah, he's currently
he's in
getting
front
half
of
dragged,
he's
half
in front
kicked.
of Francisco. So I'm sitting.
Oh, he's getting dragged. Okay, I thought he just fell off.
You could still do that. You could still go over to him. You could steal one of their horses, go over to him, and then do the same thing just as you ride alongside.
So it sounds like, just to set this scene so everyone has the same mental image, there are at least 3 carriages. There's the one that stopped or has now run off that Dirk was under. There's the other one that Anna Henrietta is in control of that is ushering people out of. And then there's the merchant wagon that has at least 2 people that the mooks were trying to steal or kidnap. that Francisco is on top of, that Diego is underneath of, and the two
Plus
people
the baggage train horses and any
plus
other
all the
possible
other stuff around us.
Yeah.
So
That is correct.
Anna Henrietta is in the carriage next to me. I'm on top of the merchant caravan, and Dirk and Jose are just up the road, either watching this careen towards the cliff or getting onto horses and joining us.
Okay, well, in that case, I will do the grab a horse first, and then run up and we'll fascinate him.
Beautiful.
'Cause I would like
it
to
sounds
capture
like you want
him
level
alive.
your sword and scare the shit out of the guy.
Yeah, there's an
so
ice
that's
in here.
straight up a panache intimidate.
Cool.
And you definitely get first time roll and a lovely flare dice for description.
Woo!
Okay, so consequences right now.
I didn't.
So
give
the
an
wagons
approach.
are running away. Oh, sorry.
Uh,
I didn't get yours, Francisco. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. Everyone forgets about me. I have retrieved my fancy hat, so it is time to disembark.
No one should forget about you anymore. You have your hat
You've
back.
retrieved a
We
new
see you.
fancy hat.
It's a
hobo.
much finer hat. My ride is only 2. I don't really do much with caravans and care much about this, but there are 2 lovely people that are being kidnapped that I wish to rescue. My approach is to abandon the seat and abandon Diego and head to the back of the caravan around the side, and inside grabbing the 2 people and heroically leaping into Anna Henrietta's caravan with my new hat.
Oh, you cut out at the end there. Heroically leaping into Anna Henrietta's...
In a carriage next to us.
Of course,
Abandoning
of
the
course.
merchant vehicle and Diego to a wonderful cliff sequence.
Thanks.
Wait. So I'm jumping onto my carriage to try and take control, but you're also jumping onto it trying to wreck it?
There's
I'm
2.
confused now.
No. He's presuming that you're going to take control of your carriage, and he's hoping to snatch up some of the people who are being kidnapped and then leap to the safety of your carriage.
Yes. Abandoning the merchant
Okay.
caravan that I'm in.
Okay.
I'm going to rescue the people,
so-
not the caravan.
So if you want to snatch the unfortunates who are being dragged off, they're heavy. You got to carry them. So I'm going to call this a brawn athletics to snatch them up and then leap from a about to be racing carriage to another slightly less racing carriage.
Sounds good.
Okay, consequences for everybody. Before there was like the chance you might like bump into a tree. You guys can see coming up ahead is the first of a series of switchbacks down a cliff face. And on the edge of it, there's like an old, like, lovely little windmill that's sort of like slowly collecting some wind. There's probably a mill inside of it, of course. Outside, there's like an old Castilian dude with like a little piece of like wheat in his mouth, just chewing on it. He's only just started to look towards you guys, come barreling in his direction. Best case scenario, the wagon's going to somehow make that hairpin turn. More likely, it's going to either slam into the windmill or take this old man and his stool careening down the cliff.
Oh dear.
So that's a thing to deal with, the oncoming hairpin turn. You want to make the turn, and then also you got to make sure you don't accidentally drift the back end of anything and take out old millwright Pancho. Additionally,
Not Pancho.
you've got those brutes who are coming in. There's currently 13 wounds worth of brute action coming up at the end of the round. And so each wagon has to not crash. Each wagon has to not fishtail. And I think in terms of opportunities, I think there's not a whole lot at the moment. You know what? The road's full of tons and tons of potholes. As an opportunity, you could spend a raise to take advantage of that, to dishevel a brute, or to, in some other way, give you a bonus. So please, roll up those dice.
Oh dear, I just said I was abandoning the merchant vehicle, and now you said it's now going to take out Poncho. No! This is why I'll never be a hero.
Okie dokie.
You could still spend one of those raises to try and get control of the thing.
Oh,
and of
yeah.
course, yes, consequences. You want to try and get control of things. That's part of the crash.
I'll take
Okay,
care of
so-
the mooks.
So I got 3 raises again.
I got
Okay.
4 again.
I only got 2.
I got 2. I think my dice
Okay.
heard that I'm the worst at everything. It gave me a bunch of zeros.
Yeah, it's kind of okay with that. Wait, you rolled zeros?
Yeah. I
On a
have-
Those are
D10?
tens.
Now those are 10s.
my
Oh, are
friend.
they 10s on these?
On a D10, they're
Oh,
10s.
well, there you go.
So-
Then I have 4.
Yes!
Now, does a
That's
10
a pronounced difference.
does a 10 count as a set of 10, or does it still have to pair
A
with
10
another die?
counts as a 10 on its own. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So it sounds like 4 is the highest we got.
All of
Nope,
my
I got a
D10s are
5
actual
then.
10s. I don't know
Oh,
what
you got
this
a
is.
5. Okay, rock on. So, Jose Wick, you've got a bunch of men who are about to give chase as these wagons start to careen down the road, and you've got them in your sights. What shall you do?
I am going to try and take out the olive branches above me to see if I can, like I said, try and take them out in multiple chunks.
Okay.
I'm going to spin on my heel, so I'm kind of ducking to avoid fire. Try and kneecap a few.
Okay.
And then I'm going to run, do a dramatic slide, and try and take one out. You kind of use one as like a human shield, and just keep firing pistols into the crowd and create as much dirt, dust, and chaos as I can.
Are you literally just dropping your pistols as you fire them?
Yep, I've got so many strapped to my body.
Oh my god, we could just track you by the trail of pistols you leave
What do you think?
behind.
He's that
He
character
says
from
he's playing
Overwatch.
John Wick, but he's kind of more of a Reaper.
Yeah,
sort.
he's Reaper. He's Reaper.
Die, or whatever the hell.
How do you think? How do you think I find him?
Okay, so which of those things do you want to do first?
Reaper is Mexican.
I want to take out the olive branches, to take out a chunk of them.
I think that's a good idea. There's a little band of them that have got back on their horses and they're about to give chase. There's a lovely, sweet olive branch right above them. If you spend a raise, that's coming down right on top of them.
Bam! Spinning a raise. Down the floor.
Okay. Nice. So one of those groups is now all tangled up in the falling branches. They're not out of the fight, but they're not doing anything this round. Great. So that was 5. Now we've got a bunch of people at 4, correct?
Hello.
Me and Bree, I think.
Yeah, I think it's just us.
Okay,
Dirk
Bree.
has entered the party.
What do you get? What's
Hello.
What's Dirk up to?
Well, I mean, Dirk has to grab a horse and catch up to Diego first to the runaway train. So he's going to grab the nearest horse and swing up onto it with a lot of panache, you know, like a la Legolas that they had to film backward. Like, they had to film it with him coming off the horse to get
Beautiful.
it to look like he jumped on.
But you can do it forwards because you're badass.
Of course. Because it's beautiful and pretty. I'm flipping my fake hair, that's why that I don't have, but Dirk does. So I'd like to do that and then take the horse just as fast as I can to catch up to that, because Diego is in charge of these people, and if I can catch him, I want to try and use him as like leverage to get everyone to stop.
Okay, very solid. So you can kind of just get the horse and ride up to him. What are you going to do when you're at him?
So when
What are you going to say to him? How are you going to influence this schmuck?
So when I am there, I would like to spend my hero point to fascinate him, like I was
Okay,
saying
great.
earlier.
You are a vision of fascinating power.
A beautiful anime boy girl.
Absolutely. This strange, hard to define Eisen coming barreling out of the smoke.
Oh my god, I've accidentally made fucking like pity again.
Say, if
Damn it!
If Jose Wick or is a Witcher, you're like the manga version of a Witcher.
Yes.
You're the yaoi Witcher.
I'm Yowie Witcher, welcome.
Oh boy.
Welcome
So you
to my
ride up
life.
to him, you spend your hero point. That doesn't take an action, though.
Yes,
so what
I
are you going
have-
to do? What are you going to do for a raise?
So I have my sword out, and I'm going to act like I am attacking him, but I would actually like to attempt to cut him out of everything he's tangled in. Not to cut him free, but to cut the tack and ropes that he's tangled in free of the wagon so that I can haul him out of the wagon so I don't have to worry about the wagon anymore.
Okay, and if you're cutting it close to him, I think that's
Oh yeah, I want to scare him too.
still pretty intimidating. That still falls within that.
It's a
you
real sharp
make some
sword.
Close cuts.
I don't use it that much. It's real sharp.
Yes. This is the first time you've used it to cut anything.
Yeah, except for like fruit.
Yeah, lovely. With a couple of quick slices, he's paralyzed by the vision that you are. And every time you sort of stab towards him, he freaks out and sort of spazzes a little bit out of the way. And then, soon the bonds that hold him are totally severed, and you snatch him up by the collar. And now you're kind of dragging him along yourself. You're scary as fuck.
Yay!
So he's
love
just,
it.
he's just being dragged away by the side of a horse from an Ison who just came out of the dust cloud.
Out
that
of the
no
dust
one
cloud
saw.
and looks really beaten. Yeah.
Oh my god, though. Out of dust cloud, white hair, this thin ass Ison. You're not playing girl, you're playing fucking Elric.
Yes.
Goddamn Elric of Melnibone here.
Elric,
Rad.
who's bad at
we're gonna have
everything.
Who's
Sword
really
that eats
Dandelion.
souls.
It's just Dandelion dressed up as Elric.
I'm cosplaying.
It's Dandelion cosplaying as Elric.
That's
You're really
great.
intimidating until people get to know you.
Yeah.
It's like me in real life.
Okay, so I believe that was at 4. Who else is at 4?
I am.
Okay,
Okay.
open up.
Okay, so now that I've dropped the chunk with the olive branch, how many mooks are left?
Okay, so you got 5 guys who are busy disentangling themselves and their horses from the tree chunk you dropped on them. There are 5 guys sort of on the other side who are closing, and it looks like they kind of intend to hop up onto the various vehicles and cause some mischief up there. And then there are 3 guys who are barreling up from behind. They had been on the side before, but are not doing so good. They got dealt with by Anna Henrietta and the
They're
others.
really annoyed that this weird Montagna noblewoman seems to have accidentally knocked out 2 of them without realizing what she was doing.
Yeah, they're pretty pissed off. And you can see that the people who were being kidnapped, the 2 victims, are both with the 2 groups of 5 guys.
Okay, so I can clearly see the victims, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay, the guys that are hauling them off, I want to shoot them in the back of the kneecap with
Beauty.
knives.
So you're gonna toss a knife?
Yep, gonna switch things up, gonna dual wield it.
Beautiful. Now are you gonna try to go for both of those guys? One's on. I guess they're both on horseback right now.
Yeah.
But you can definitely put a knife in them that's gonna end their day. They're just mooks.
Yep, that is my plan.
Okay. So you whip 2 daggers, sort of end over end with a sweet sort of sound. And yeah, one plunges into the thigh of one of the guys who was on horseback, and he just finished tying up his prisoner. He's got a bag over the guy's
The
head.
camera follows the blade flying through the air, right? Like it's a tracking shot.
Assassin vision.
100% it's assassin vision. Hits the guy in the leg, and it does one of the snap cuts to his face, and then him looking down, seeing that, and he screams. His horse then bucks him off, and he's now in the dust, clutching his bleeding leg. You toss the other one maybe with a backhand, because that's always fun to do. And you actually hit one of the guys in the back of the head with a pommel. The back end of the knife hits him, and it just knocks him out instantly. He's into the dirt. And so, yeah, we're down to 2 groups of 4. And right now, both the victims are unattended.
I guess
All right.
that takes us down to 3.
Oh,
That's
ladies.
3. How many raises do I need to spend to make sure... Okay, so it's 3 carriages. All of them need 2 raises to not go off the road and not hit old Poncho.
That's right. 1 raise to not go off the road, 1 raise not to hit poor old Poncho.
But each of the carriages needs that?
Yeah, man.
See, what I'm thinking of doing is, if we can get the 2 people off of this carriage, I can try to take control of the merchant carriage that I'm in and careen it into one of the others that's unattended completely, the one that Dirk was under, and then the only carriage that we need is Anna Henrietta's. That will hopefully have all of the rescued hostages inside by the time that I heroically kamikaze this merchant carriage into another, just to save
Anna
old
Henrietta's not
Poncho,
getting rid of her
who really
carriage.
chose a poor day to be out there to chew some wheat.
Yeah.
How dare he?
Anna Henrietta is not getting rid of her carriage. There may or may not be a disguised bloody handprint on it somewhere to ensure that she can always go back to it. Is there a way that I can spend a raise to head off one of the other carriages so that we're no longer careening down the road towards Old Poncho, but we're instead going to careen off into the field, into the significantly less dangerous field?
There is a way. You did make a ride check, correct?
Yeah. Could I cut one of the other carriages off that way and then just kind of use my horse and my carriage to lead it off in another direction? Well, my terrified driver just looks at me. He's like, what?
Yeah, Pierre understands why there's such a high turnover for your drivers. So yeah, you can spend a raise to then crash into one of the other wagons, sending it off into the orchard, basically.
Right, and then I only need to spend my other 2 raises to not die and to not kill the old guy, but we've taken one of the other wagons out of commission.
That's right, that other wagon is still going to go careening, just not down the cliff now, off into some trees.
Fantastic, I'll spend my 3 raises on that.
Okay, so that's going to be putting you down to 0. Great, so yeah, you bring your carriage up alongside, you haul on the reins, the horses hate this.
Oh, no, she turns it up so the carriage for just a moment goes up on 2 wheels. It's obvious that she has done this before.
Yeah, this is definitely your normal wheelhouse.
Knocks the other carriage so it goes careening off into the field, then turns her carriage so she's still going with the pack, rights it, however, and manages to keep, deftly handling it on the road. And Pierre's just, holding on for dear life, just white-knuckled, white in the face. He would vomit, except at this speed, it would just go back in his mouth.
Beautiful. And so, yeah, you sort of pulled up alongside the lead wagon, knocked it off the road, and then you go around that hairpin turn.
Yeah.
Groovy.
And as she's turning around, old Poncho, she shouts something to the effect of, Monsieur, I am sorry.
As you go down, and there's a bang from the other wagon smashing into things in his backyard.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, you know what? It buries itself. It knocks over. It runs through one of his chicken coops and buries itself in the side of his wood store, his barn or something. And now all his animals are going everywhere.
Yes, there's chickens and feathers and bleeding goats and all the things you expect from a comical crash.
Exactly.
He's immediately covered in chickens, a la Legend of Zelda.
Yes.
The Castilian
Jason,
chicken
who else
curse.
at 3?
Me.
I am too. Yeah.
I guess. Sorry, that was 4. Now we're going down to 3, and it should just so happens that Diego is at 3.
Diego. Hello.
So Diego really he likes Dirk. You are fascinating to look at. But he wants to get out of here. Now, with Fascinate, can he still take actions?
Nothing that would harm me, I believe, but let me double check it real quick.
I believe that's the case too. He can't start a fight with you, right?
Yeah, he can't start a fight with me, and I'm looking to see whether that is also... So Fascinate, character pays attention only to you until the end of the scene.
Great. So he doesn't like being carried by you, though. So he's going to spend a raise to sort of bring out a knife and brandish it, and at first you're like, oh god, he's going to stab me. Then he uses it to cut the chunk of his, jacket that you were holding him by, dropping him down, and, he sort of, hits the ground and, does a couple of tumbles, and you just know the whole time, looking at you.
As he should.
And he's just on his butt in the road now as everything goes streaming past him. And he's going to shout to his men, "Get them! Get those heretics!"
Oh.
Beautiful. So who else at 3?
I wasn't. I had a 2.
Yeah, Dodd, why don't you go first?
I will. I'm gonna presume I'm out of knives and pistols, so now I'm drawing swords.
Okay, you can still have some knives. I'm willing to let you have some knives.
All right, then, and I am going to walk forward, start chucking knives at guys, and try not to kill them. I'm going to try and hit them with the pommel, or maybe make it pin their arms to trees.
Oh, great. Various generous flesh wounds.
Yeah, basically. And that's what I'm going to spend this raise on.
Okay, you're only going to spend the 1. You could, if you wanted, you could burn all 3 and just take out 3 guys.
So it's 1 point per guy. How many guys are left?
There are currently 11 guys.
Holy shit.
Now, 4 of those are currently not actually going to be coming at you guys. So really, there's only 7 you have to deal with right now.
You know what? Let's take them all out. Good night. Let's take them.
Okay, so you're just going to take out a group of 3?
Yep, just gonna just...
Yeah, so off go the daggers. Down go the guys. Horses whinny and things are still chaos. Anybody else at 3? I think that's everybody.
No, that's me. I'm at 3.
Okay.
I have no more actions.
Not... I would like to continue paying attention to Diego and stick with my, if I can get their leader maybe they'll stop kind of thing, because I have, like, just for you listeners at home, I have nothing in warfare, nothing at weaponry, my brawn's real low. Like, I rolled this character very particularly.
But if Diego tells him to call it off.
Yeah, but if Diego tells him to call it off, right, then we're good. So I'm going to turn my horse around, ride back to him, slower so that he can, appreciate that, and just... pull my horse up kind of in front of him and level my sword, and be like, that was impressive, but not good enough. I'm an Ison.
All right. He kind of slowly sort of stands up.
Is he still like a little bit tangled and everything? So he's like standing up and...
He's a mess. There's straps hanging off him. And
He's been dragged for the last 2 rounds. So
I think you should pants him.
Oh yeah, cut his belt and pants him.
Just cut his belt.
Solid.
anyways, do that.
He goes to say something. You cut his belt.
I
he's
will
pantsed.
100% spend an extra raise to cut his belt.
You don't have to. I'm willing to put that within the realm of a regular intimidate action. And so yeah, he just sort of puts his hands up and says, I believe you have me at a disadvantage, my friend. However, God's work will not be stopped.
Oh no, he's a true believer.
Because I shot him in the dick.
His groin is a little tender.
Man, and he's gonna get really pissed if I end up having to jump through a portal.
Real pissed.
Oh.
Okay, so that was Bree. I believe we're now at 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go first because you haven't gone yet.
So am I the only one left on a carriage that is heading...
You are the only one left on the merchant carriage that is currently aimed straight at poor old Poncho.
Okay.
You can see in the higher levels of the windmill now, the noise of the battle has brought out like a dozen adoring grandchildren who are calling down to their grandfather.
All right, so here's the problem, is I rolled for Brawn and Athletics to abandon this wagon and rescue the 2 that were still inside of it. And that does not sound like a heroic decision anymore.
Indeed, but Brawn and Athletics can still be... There's still ways you can incorporate that into what you're up to.
So, I have to get this carriage out of the way, and I can't take it into the barn because there's people in this carriage, and that barn is currently the occupant of another carriage that has been thrown into it. So...
Yep. It does have a sweet brake lever if you need.
Oh!
Try and fucking Tokyo Drift that corner.
I want to, actually, I would love to, even not Tokyo Drift the corner, or I guess we could keep going, or just bring it to a nice, like... throw up some dust and come to a stop just like an inch from Poncho's nose.
God, what is it with you and dust?
Just like it's a little bell just as it comes to a stop, and it doesn't actually crash his entire...
Yeah, one of the horses has bells on its harness.
Yeah, if there's
that'll be 2 raises, one to get control of them, because you're basically like hauling back on the brake basically to do that.
Yep. So that's
right. You're
one.
using your muscles for that, so that's still Brawn Athletics.
And
so yeah, 1 to get control of them by hauling on that brake, and then 1 to do it in time to avoid poor Poncho's demise.
And his 7 beautiful
just as
grandchildren.
You said, you haul on
innocent.
it, and how does it go?
And so with the two raises spent, I'm pulling on to the brake. I'm telling everyone inside to just hold on. Everything's gonna be fine. And Poncho and the kids are coming out, and their eyes are like bright and like innocent, and they've got their whole lives ahead of them. and this caravan begins to drift and slide and turn sideways. And as the horses are coming in, can I spend the second raise to cut the horses free? To bring the carriage to a stop?
Yeah, maybe you don't cut them free, but you kick you manage to basically wrestle the straps free so that they're freed from their harness.
Yeah, so then there's nothing else pulling this, and the carriage can just come to a rest in Poncho's front lawn.
Beautiful.
Just at the front, and then it'd be like, pour them a drink, and we'll come to a stop, and then I will get off of the carriage and take a deep breath and count my lucky stars and my lucky hat.
Yes, you do now still have Diego's hat and the ruins of your own.
Yes, exactly.
Great. Who else got raises still?
I have 2.
Couldn't do anything about the mooks, but we were able to handle with the consequence of the hairpin turn. So there's still 4 more brutes left, though.
Yep.
There are still 2. Yeah, there's still 4 who are going to come and cause some trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody else have?
I spent both
Nobody
of my
else
raises.
got raises?
No, I have 2.
Okay, Bree.
So can I use both of them to take my sword, like ride right up in front of Diego, take my sword, because I just cut his pants off, I can see exactly where he is bleeding, take my sword, just like poke the tip of it right in there and be like, call off your men.
Just
All right.
Before I cut your dick off, basically.
Yeah, so he winces as your blade sort of aggravates where he's already been screwed up. And he's gonna call out to his men in Castilian. If you guys speak Castilian, you would know, and you can get from his inflection, that he's basically saying, "Men, hold! We have what we need! Retreat!"
Oh, I don't motherfucking think so.
They have what
Yeah,
they need.
so they're starting to pull back. They're turning around. You are successful.
I'm good out here. I don't need them. They can go. I'm not stopping them.
The 3 people they were trying to kidnap, weren't 2 of them unattended, one of them rescued from us?
One of them's rescued. 2 of them are tied up on the back of horses. That it looks
thought I
like
knocked
the
them
brutes
off.
are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know you knocked the brutes off. There's nobody else on the horse.
I thought they were
Just-
in the merchant caravan that I just brought to a stop. But
I thought I'd rescued more of them when I ushered them in, but I guess I only got 1.
You only had the 1, but you know what? Because of the confusion, I think it's only fair that one of them is in the caravan that Justin stopped. There's still 1 on the ass end of a horse.
Cool.
okay,
Yeah.
they got what they came for.
They got what they came for.
Oh, you can't save everybody.
Now, does anybody got raises left?
I spent both of mine.
If that only used one of my raises, I technically have 1, but...
You should still have 1.
Yeah,
Although,
so-
I mean, also, so does Diego. He's
Does
on his
he?
last raise.
Oh, well, I mean, he can have a raise then, and I'll react to it if that's all right, because he's the villain and goes first.
That's fair enough. Villains do go first. He's going to just sort of back up away from you, hands up, sort of limping and miserable. And he's making his way to the horse that has somebody on it. And so, yeah, he's going to sort of mount up onto that and be like, go with God.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't know what to do with him, so I am inclined to let him go.
Okay, great. And so he turns ass and rides off.
Woo.
Everybody's out of raises now?
Yeah.
And I think this makes a good point
And
to end
we're
the episode.
just a little past the hour, so I think that's a good place to start to call this.
Yay.
As Diego rides off, gets lost in the trees, the last sort of... The carriage that had made the hairpin turn is sort of slowing down. You can see you're by yourself. You're not being chased anymore. As Jose Wick goes and picks up his various discarded pistols.
This may take some time.
This may take some time.
This is why we have to end the episode here.
As you're looking at the other sort of brutes who have backed off and are currently fleeing as well, you kick over one of their knocked out buddies, and as he gets rolled over, you see that he was wearing like a coat over top of other clothes, and it falls open, and you see, gasp! He's wearing the uniform of the Castilian Inquisition.
Nobody
you
expects
called
the
that,
Castilian
Justin.
Inquisition.
Exactly! And so I think there we're going to wrap it up.
Oh my God. No, I just have this mental image of the guys from the Spanish Inquisition sketch with like trench coats on over their robes.
That's almost what you're dealing with, yeah.
Trench coats and sunglasses.
Yeah. Thank you
boy.
very much for listening to great and terrible listeners. My name is Will Mitchell. I've been your GM for this episode, and joining me for 7th Sea 2nd Edition, we have had...
Just Ecock as Francisco Florento, his fancy new hat, and this didn't go according to plan today.
Bree Poisonne as Dirk Vice, I guess is how we were saying that. Oh God,
Vice.
why have I done this to myself? I'm
The
an
hero
Ison.
of the day.
I'm an Ison. I win.
You sent them scurrying
You
with their
sent them
tails
packing.
between their legs.
Pop collar.
Everyone's going to be talking about your heroism.
I've been the Birdman! Mike Dodd from This Week in Geek.net playing Jose Wick with the pistols and the knives and the pointy shooty.
And I'm Derek the Bard from Chasing the Muse, playing Lady Henrietta de Pai, who has, true to being a spy, mostly managed to stay out of the spotlight for this fight.
And was actually the most heroic in the whole scenes. Dealt with the most moves, rescued the most people. Well done.
All right. So thank you very much for joining us. Tune in next week to hear the continued adventures of this ragtag bunch of heroes as they find out why was the Inquisition kidnapping people on roads in Castille, and who was it they rode away with. We'll see you then.
Terrible Warriors' new episodes out every Tuesday and Thursday. 7th Sea will return in 2 weeks' time, where we're heading into town now, and the mystery deepens. And I'm sure Dirk will find himself to be quite useful to the party at some point, right? On Thursday, we finish our round of premiere episodes for our new campaigns, with Derek the Bard continuing to be a GM on Thursdays, only this time he's brought players from around the country and enrolled them into school. And they're all being shipped off to Kakagami High, an entirely randomly generated game that, unrelated to the story, the first episode was called The Glowing Coils in the Test. A completely bonkers, improvised, randomly generated game on Thursday, Kakagami High. Next week, alternating with the 7th Sea and Kakagami High on Tuesday, Poisonne is leading us through Star Wars: Ashes of the Empire. We got off to a pretty dark start, but our 3 Imperial officers continue to be faced with new, horrible tasks that the Empire has ready for them. Yes, if you enjoy watching the moral decay of our show continue, you're going to enjoy Ashes of the Empire on Tuesday. Next week, on Thursday, alternating with Kakagami High, Derek the Bard and his Edmonton crew continue to play Unknown Armies. And what started out as a lark has turned deadly. Things are getting mysterious in Shroob County. A film by Alan Smithy next Thursday. And on top of our rotating games of one-shot campaigns, the Terrible Warriors have 2 bonus stories happening right now. On Sundays, and every Sundays, Justin Ecock is playing through Star Trek Adventures in the Living Campaign by Modifius. Right now they're playing through the Rescue of Xerxes 4. Every Sunday is Star Trek Sunday. The Cambridge Chronicles is also happening right now every Fridays. If you want to listen to that, you'll have to subscribe to it. It's a different podcast. TerribleWarriors.com/Cambridge Chronicles. You can find the podcast everywhere you find the Terrible Warriors. Just search Cambridge Chronicles. It'll show up. You can hit subscribe. You can hit like. You can tell Mike Dodd how cool it is. One game to rule them all. Cambridge Chronicles is a 5th edition actual play podcast. One game group, one game, one ongoing story. The Cambridge Chronicles. The Terrible Warriors continues to love every one of you, and also our Patreon supporters who give us money. You can find out more at TerribleWarriors.com/Patreon. Postcards are being sent out in the mail, names continue to be named in our games, and of course you've been hearing players here at the table joining our show. Today's Terrible Warriors, and your adventurers in Thea, Game Master Will Mitchell, and adventurers Mike Dodd, Derek Burrow, Poisonne, and Justin Ecock. We'll see you next time, right here, Terrible Warriors.